Hello everyone. Today we are together again with another English tense in English language, which is future perfect tense. Today we're going to talk about again future perfect tense on the timeline diagram. We'll show how to use this tense properly. We'll also talk about time expressions, affirmative, negative, and question forms. And finally, we're going to do some practice. In this video, I changed the proverb, and this time I put one of the proverbs that I like the best. If you are not willing to learn, no one can help you. If you are determined to learn, no one can stop you. So I'd like to remind you my famous parole, my famous quotes, proverb that I put on our Attack English course symbol or emblem. Let me repeat that for you because these two are related to each other. If there's a will, there's a way. I know that you want to learn English language, and I've got confidence in you that you're going to make it one day, as long as there's a will or as long as you are determined to learn. We can get started now. What for is future perfect tense used? It is used for expressing an action that will occur in the future before another action in the future. Let's see it on the timeline diagram with an example. Here comes our example. You will have completed your degree by the time you are 24 years old. Let's see it on the timeline. Here comes two actions in the future. One action, another action in the future. Okay, what does our explanation definition says about future perfect? It is used for expressing an action that will occur in the future before another action in the future. So this action is going to be in future perfect tense. Before another action in the future. Alright? How do I understand that this part is future perfect tense? Because will, have, verb 3 is used. There you go. And also, by the time you are 24 years old, tells us a time expression, and where I can use future perfect continuous right before. And what is our word format? There you go. Will plus have plus verb 3. Word format is verb 3. Or instead of will, I can also use to be going to. So to be going to plus have plus verb 3, which is past participle form of the verb we're going to use in future perfect tense. Okay, what do we use future perfect tense for? Number one, a completed action before a certain time in the future. Number two, duration before something in the future. Number three, a completed action before another event takes place. Alright, and the first one, before a certain time in the future. In the third one, before another event takes place. We're going to explain about it. And finally, for expressing conviction that something happened in the near future. Okay. Let's start with number one. Here comes our example. By 6 o'clock, I will have finished my work. Okay. Where is the certain time here? A completed action before a certain time. Certain time is by 6 o'clock. Which action is going to be completed by 6 o'clock? There you go. It says here, I will have finished my work by 6 o'clock. Here comes another one. By 2022, I will have completed my PhD degree. Okay, number two, duration before something in the future. By the time he arrives Turkey, he will have been in New York for 6 months. As you can see, the verb 3 form of be is used as being here. So there is a duration before something else in the future. What is the duration here? For 6 months. So I can also use future perfect for duration before another action in the future. Here comes another one. By the next month, we will have been married for 9 years. And that is likewise. Number three. A completed action, this time before another event takes place. She will have learned Japanese before she moves to Japan. Or she will have cooked dinner by the time we arrive. Okay, finally, number four. Let's see our example. The guests will have arrived at the hotel by now. Or the plane of my sister will have taken off to Istanbul by now. Expressing conviction. Conviction means I assume or I guess, I think, okay, sometime in the future. Let's see the future perfect tense negative statement. Here comes our example. By this time tomorrow, he will not have had enough time to finish the project. There you go, negative form. But I'd like to attract your attention from the perspective of the structure. By this time tomorrow, he won't have had enough time to finish the project. There is a completed action before a certain time in the future. That is the example for that. Here comes another one. By 2020, I won't have completed my MBA. Again, a completed action before a certain time, by 2022, in the future. Shall versus will in future perfect. Let's have a look at it. Here comes our subjective pronouns. And shall have I can use with first person singular I and first person plural we. And I can use will have for, as you can see, the outer line, for all subjects. So what should I figure here is that shall is used just for I, first person singular, and we, first person plural. Plus, of course, verb 3 past participle. Let's see, have a look at the examples. By 2020, you can say I shall. You can say also I will have completed my MBA. But here by 2020, for example, you cannot say he shall or they shall. All right? Shall is used with I and we. All right, let's have a look at again the future tense usage with an example. Here comes the definition again. Future perfect tense is used to describe an event or action that will be completed before another event or time in the future. Let's see the example. My mother will have cooked the dinner by the time the guests arrive. Alright, so here an event or an action, my mother will have cooked the dinner before another event or time in the future, by the time the guests arrive, another action in the future, before, or before another time, let's say by 4 p.m., you can also say. Here it comes on the timeline diagram. My mother will have cooked the dinner. Okay, starts cooking the dinner here and finish cooking the dinner here. Will have cooked the dinner by the time the guests arrive. So basically, we have two actions in the future. The first action is used in future perfect, and the second action is used in simple present tense form. Okay, I thought it would be useful to show you the difference in meaning of these three tenses. All three are in future. Future tense, simple future, future continuous, and future perfect tense. Let's try to explain them with examples and show them on the timeline diagram. I will watch movie at 11 p.m. Okay, so at 11 p.m. the action will start. What about future continuous? I will be watching a movie at 11 p.m. tonight. 11 is going to be the middle of watching. Why? Because I'll start watching movie here, the movie finishes somewhere here, but I'm trying to express that at 11 I will be watching movie. What about future perfect tense? I will have watched movie at 11 p.m. So 11 p.m. here is the time that I finished watching movie. So can you see the difference among three future tenses? Future tense, future continuous tense, future perfect tense, but they mean differently. Okay? Why? Because the timeline diagram, they mean different. For simple future, there you go, it's 11 o'clock. Start watching, it means I will start watching. Here in future continuous, at 11 o'clock, I will be watching. And for future perfect, at 11, I will have finished watching the movie. Alright. I will have finished my homework. I will have finished my homework. I'll start studying on my homework here. And there's a period, as you can see. At the end of that period, I will have finished my homework. When my dad arrives. When my dad arrives. Okay, when my dad arrives, and I will be cooking dinner after that. Can you see that there are the usage of three different tenses, okay? Here is simple present. Here, future perfect is used, and here, future continuous tense is used, okay? I'd like to repeat this example one more time. I will have finished my homework. That's the end of a period. When my dad arrives, I'd like to attract your attention, simple present. And after that, I will be cooking dinner. There is a period of time. That's why I use future continuous. Let's give another example in the future perfect. As you can see, this gentleman is working, still working at work in the office, and it's 6 o'clock now, okay, when he or she says that sentence. What does he or she says? I will have finished work at 6:30. 6:30 is a future time. Why? Because it's 6 o'clock sharp now. Okay? Saying this sentence for a future action, I will have finished work at 6:30. A completed action before a certain time in the future. That's why I use future perfect tense. Here comes another example. He will have retired by the time he's 60. Actually, both are going to be retired by the time they are 60. How good for him. Okay, let's do some practice now. We're going to fill in the blanks, and we're going to fill in the blanks using future perfect tense. I'm writing a book. By this time next month, I will have written the book. Example number 2. John is cleaning the house. By the time his parents arrive, John will have cleaned the house. My mother is making dinner. By the time the guests arrive, my mother will have cooked or made the dinner. And last example, we are bringing our stuff to our new apartment. By this time tomorrow, we will have brought all our stuff to our new apartment. There you see the usage of present perfect tense. The format is will have verb 3. Okay, here comes the difference between to be, going to, and will. Not exactly. These two are, you can use one instead of the other. There's no difference between them. You can say, I am going to have studied all the tenses, all these tenses by the time I finish this course. Or you can also say, I will, instead of to be, going to, you can say, I will have studied all of the English tenses by the time I finish this course. Doesn't make much difference. Okay, time expressions. You can say in future perfect by Saturday, in 2 weeks, in 6 months' time, within a decade or so. You can also say by the middle of this century, by the time we get there, by the end of the year. You can also say one day in the distant future, in my life or not in my life, in the coming decade. You can also say by the time, already, after, before, until, never, just. By the time means no later than that. You can say by this time tomorrow will you have watched that video? You can also say, instead of by this time tomorrow, you can also say no later than you are, sorry for that, these are two different examples. No later than you are 50, will you have had lots of money? By the time you are 50, will you have finished your time in the prison? No later than you are 50, will you have become famous? By this time next year, will you have graduated from the university? No later than tomorrow, will you have done your homework? Here you see no later than, by the time, both are the same, mean the same thing. In positive, as you can see, I will have been graduated. Jack will have gone on holiday by this time next year. Or by the time I arrive school, my English class will have already started. In negative form, we just put not. You can say will not, or you can also say won't. We will not have had enough credit to be able to graduate from the university within the next 6 months. Let's see the question form. Basically, we pull helping word towards the end of the sentence. Will she have learned all about her job next May, or will you have finished your work by 1700? Okay, in question form, you can say, do you think you will have finished? Or we have to move to London in the next 3 months. Will you have graduated from college by then? Deputy Chief, what will you have done by the end of your tour of your duty here as Sheriff? Okay, by the time you are 50 years old, let's put them here. By the time you are 50 years old. Let's give it a try. By the time you are 50 years old, will you have had lots of grandchildren? By the time you are 50 years old, will you have become famous? By the time you are 50 years old, will you have spent time in jail? And so on. Future perfect tense versus future perfect continuous. Why I prepared a slide like this, because it happens. Sometimes students get confused which tense to use when. Here comes future perfect and present continuous. In future perfect, we talk about actions that will be completed by a certain future time. On the other hand, in present future perfect continuous, actually for actions which will be in progress over a period of time that will end in the future. By the end of this month, I will have worked here for 10 years. He will have been working for 10 years here next September. That's the difference between future perfect and future perfect continuous. What have we talked about today? We've talked about, of course, future perfect tense. We talked about format and usage, time expression, and positive, negative, and question forms. And finally, we did some practice. Thank you for listening.